Hi everyone, I'd just like to talk you through how I made this CD for Loop Masters. And first of all, I just went through my hard drive and just got all the samples, all my breaks, all my drums, all my beats and basses, and just compiled them all into one place. Started to look through them, just get a sense of the project and how it's going to sound, and then just started to go through all the drums, all the breaks, and just chop everything up, get them sounding, to a certain standard, to a certain level. I used this drum machine to help beef up some of the drums. It's got sort of tunable kick drums and snares and hi-hats, and so you can really tune the frequencies and get them in key and even in pitch if you want to, the drums that you're using. And I just spent lots of time really just mixing the beats, getting them to sound in a certain way, and then once the drums were kind of how I want them to be, then I put them into the V-Synth. And the V-Synth is a Roland V-Synth, it's a synthesizer and it's a sampler, and it's really good for giving sounds different types of vibes and textures and stuff. I like using samplers, like external samples, as opposed to the ones that you get in your digital ones, just because of the feel and the vibe and the energy is totally different in there. So and it's fun as well to use a few different pieces of equipment. I use the EMU E64 as well, to give the beats and the basses a different texture and different vibe, a different feel. The strings and the pads, they were all done in the V-Synth. I used some samples and I made up a lot of the sounds in the V-Synth. With the V-Synth you get a lot of the standard saws, LFOs and what you'd normally get in a synth, and I just combined them with lots of samples that I used and created some textures and some pads. Tried to kind of just make the sound as authentic as possible, but at the same time make them, some of the samples that I used were from classic Krust sound, classic full cycle sound. Some of it was new stuff, so I'm combining the two stuff, layering them together, just making something new and interesting, something that people would find useful in the studios. Also I used a MIDI Moog and an ARP Odyssey, and those are my kind of go-to synths whenever I'm looking for sounds. They've been with me for years, 10, 15, 20 years. And I rely on those heavily in the studio to make my bass sounds, to make my patches and whatever else I need that type of texture for. What else did I use? I used an effects pedals, a Digitech PR7 valve. It's quite an old one, but it's got some good sounds on it, good effects on it. I used a lot of the effects in the Roland V-Synth. That really is kind of like my main workstation in the studio. I do a lot of my work outside, and I create a lot of the sounds, and then I export it into Pro Tools, where I do a lot of my arranging and kind of building my song structures in there. But the majority of my sampling really is kind of on the V-Synth. And I use the E64 a lot, but mainly for mainly as a sound module, not necessarily sampling so much. Or I do like it on the beats on certain bases to give it a sound, but a lot of that stuff is just from my library that I just bring in and mess around sample wise, trying to get it to fit whatever track I'm working on. In the library, exactly the same really, just bouncing down samples and breaks and drums from Pro Tools into the samplers, giving them feel, pitching them down, pitching them up, you know, and then bouncing them back into Pro Tools and put a bit of EQ and maybe some effects on it. What else? Compression wise, I used an E series compressor. It's the SSL. And I used a little bit of the 1176 Yuri for some of the basses, just sound wise, really, texture wise, giving it a kind of feel, a bit of coloration as well. And I think that's about it. I hope you all enjoyed the CD. It was great fun making it. I'd love to hear what you do with some of the sounds. Please do send it to me. And, you know, I hope you all have fun with it. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.